Midrash Tanchuma Parsha Lech Lecha. Tell me if this sounds familiar. There's a famine in the land. Avram and Sarah go down to Egypt. Sarah is taken against her will. There are plagues against the Egyptians in the palace. And the Sarah is freed. So this certainly validates the idea, Maseh Avot Siman Lebanim, what happened to our forefathers foreshadows Jewish history. But as you'll see from other examples in the Parsha and the Midrash, it doesn't seem to just foreshadow immediate history, but even long-term history right down to our day. So take, for example, the reason given for Sarah to be taken when she got to Egypt. The pasuk says, Ki yafahi ma'od. In other words, you can't just kidnap somebody in Egypt. They have laws. But the law said a beautiful woman is the possession of royalty. A commoner can't have a beautiful wife. Has to be taken away. But it's not kidnapping, it's the law. And how about the reason for enslaving the Jews? So the pasuk says, Nosaf gamhu al sanenu. You can't just enslave people, have them work for nothing, for slave labor. No, it's a law. The law says that anybody you want to enslave, you have to first have a committee and hearings and decide, oh, they could be a third column who can attack us and join our enemies. This is nefarious legal system of Egypt. And it may sound familiar, using laws for racist purposes. One of the most dramatic examples that the Midrash gives is in the famous World War, the first World War recorded in history between the 4 kings and the 5 kings. So we know the great powerful Nimrod got into the war on the losing side. But why did he get into the war? What drove him to get into the war? According to the Midrash, only one reason: his hatred for Avram and everything Avram stood for. He knew that Avram had a nephew named Lot who was in Sodom, so he joined this war to attack Sodom so that he would draw Avram out into the battle, which is exactly what happened. Avram did join the battle, but miraculously Avram beat the victors of this world war. But you see the blind hatred that Nimrod had for monotheism. And actually the Midrash uses a very interesting term to describe who Avram was and why this blind hatred came about. It says, Hanatuna bebeit hakvarot, perfume in a cemetery, right? Do you need perfume in a cemetery? Is there anybody there who could appreciate it? No. The same with the world of paganism. Does anybody need the beautiful ideas that Avram, not just monotheism, but chesed and leading a moral life and trying to refine yourself and do good to other people? Nobody wanted to hear that. It's like perfume in a cemetery. But that was the reason for the blind hatred. If you combine those two, the blind hatred and those nefarious laws, it sounds a lot like Nazi Germany, right? Hitler had a blind hatred. There's a book written by Lucy Davidowitz called The War Against the Jews, in which she claims that since he wrote Mein Kampf, Hitler followed that ideology. And of course, when they wanted to, destroy the Jewish community and take away their rights, they did it with laws and edicts. You can't just go and kick everybody out of the workforce. No, you have to have a law. So one of the silver lining is that not only are the bad parts of history a foreshadowing, but also the good parts. The fact that Avram won a war against, the many, and he was just a band of a few of his servants. So sets the stage for perhaps other times when the few conquered the many, like Hanukkah, or even Milchemet HaShichror, the War of Independence. So we can at least take away some hope from the Midrash that although there is going to be hatred and senseless laws, there will also be, with God's help, great victories, even though we're outnumbered. Have a great Shabbos.